How you doing, everybody? Welcome to a fun episode of No More Heroes. On this one, we talk about Django Unchained. This is a very fun discussion. This is gearing up to possibly be... I'm going to have to see how I feel after the end of Quentin Tarantino and quite possibly Quentin Tarantvember. We may stretch this out. We'll see how we feel, but... This may be one of my favorite Tarantino movies after the rewatch, but we'll get more into that on this episode. If you guys want to get a head start on next week's episode, we will be watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So, yes, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is next week, but this week is DJANGO Unchained. Enjoy.
There's a lot of comics like that, but I think it was just like we weren't all listening to 90 podcasts a week, and we weren't all consuming so much fucking stand-up now. It's just, you know what it is? Pat was saying it like everything's bad now, and I would just put one caveat on it. I think everything's much more just hell yeah, dude. Everything's much more disposable now. I think that's a big problem. Is it's like I was watching, what the fuck? Like if you look at how like technology's made, it's like, oh, you just get a fucking new one. So it's like they don't put the same tender love and care into shit. Or like when a video game comes out, it's like most video games aren't finished when they come out now, and they'll be like, yeah, we'll do a patch in a week and it'll be okay. So it's like, because everything's so disposable, the first version of it's always like, or it's like whatever. Back in the day, if you sold a video game and it was fucked up, the game's fucked up forever. Yeah. So like, and it's the same thing with like that's why all of our furniture is like bullshit IKEA, because it's like, well, if it breaks, I'll just go buy another $50 end table. Yeah, and it's like, no, that end table. How many of us grew up with a fucking end table that was older than us? Like, yeah, you know, or what I mean?
TVs, cars, any of that shit. Like, it just becomes so the obsolescence. What is it? Product obsolescence or whatever. So it's the same idea of like the product is usually your skill, your singing ability, your comedic ability, your acting, whatever it is. It's like there's always seems to be some kind of limit for people. You know what I mean? Like, unless they're willing to do the work, like you got to continue to work at anything. So like but they're not willing to continue. Like, again, there was a clip I saw of like this guy that collected, like, had his whole like house was like a collection of vacuum cleaners. He had nothing but vacuum cleaners. And I was just like, this is crazy. Like,
yeah,
that guy has his own women's history museum in his house, like, just because he's just that dedicated. You know what I mean?
Is that a joke?
Yeah. I just thought of...
No, that's so fucking funny.
Just because he's that dedicated, you know what I mean?
Dude, that'd be so funny. Like, that'd be
planned obsolescence. Sorry, that was what it was.
I believe in planned obsolescence for a lot of stuff. I think other shit is just like, we don't care. It's so easy to make.
Well, people don't realize the same thing. You were just talking about, that they're firmware. Like, this is a hardware, but the firmware, like, you can update it. You're part of that. You can be obsolete. Like, unless you update your fucking firmware, you're fucking dumb. So yeah,
but I know I didn't want to move Pat. That's such a funny joke to be like
the Women's History Museum.
Oh no, you know what you should do? That'd be also a funny thing to do, where you go to like you're in the appliance section. I call it the women's. I don't know. You're the comedian. You figure it out. I gotta give you props. That's such a fucking funny joke.
Modern art. But legitimately, when I'm watching this video of this guy collecting vacuum cleaners, I'm going like, I don't know. Dom said something like, that's weird, and I was just like, no, I like this. I'm very interested in this. Like, I want to know what's your favorite. what do you think is the ugliest design? What like because they
Dom's so funny. She's like, that's weird. Anyway, so then the werewolf fucked the vampire.
yeah. It's like anyway, the vampire mafia is raping the werewolf mafia. You're
Also,
like,
I bought
okay,
I bought a bunch of stuff that has no practical reason. It just looks nice.
it just looks cool.
That's
Look at
making
this.
fun of my wife too. Not
Well, no,
yours.
she
Just
does the same thing. Dom knows she's forbidden from buying that shit because there's been plenty of times where like Bird Eye or no, what is it? What was the place? Bell's or Kohl's or any of those places. You know, the places that has like clothes and housewares and all this other shit. And anytime I'm just like, look, what is this? It's just 3 big yarn balls. And she's like, it's decoration. I'm like, but what for what? What is it? It's just
Yeah.
so you can look at 3 giant shiny yarn balls. And she's just like, yeah. And it's just like, it just looks nice. Like it fucking sucks. It's a waste of or like a big glass ball.
Yeah,
Like
you gotta
said,
give
like,
you gotta give it to him though, because that I feel like that creates the feminine masculine balance of life.
right. Yeah.
It's like men are task oriented, we're problem solvers, and then that makes money, and then we buy our women yarn balls so they can smile at them.
yeah.
And then they make us happy, and then we have more drive to forage for them
It's the
or
back and
hunt.
forth. Yeah.
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 'Cause
Yeah.
that's like the heterosexual relationships is finding another retarded person that no matter how mad or happy they make you, all you care about is just being like, I just got to get them what they want.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know what I met you and it just clicked in my head. I need to get you whatever you need right now. Yeah. Let's get into No More Heroes. You were talking about fun art stuff and or storytelling or something. I don't know. You were saying stuff earlier that was making me jizz my pants. But
for art. Hold on, I'm just
we need a
texting
better.
Dom.
No.
Art.
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 I'm gonna hopefully. I might leave that in. That might be funny. And
Art.
welcome to No More Heroes. Now I'm very excited to. I reignited something. I might have to go and watch every Tarantino again. I don't know because this is really like for the longest time I was like, I think it was because I took a good break with Django or DJANGO. That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie where Walter Goggins is like DJANGO, and he's like, it's Django, you hillbilly motherfucker, or something like that. So
there's some great lines.
It's
some
great.
Some we can't say. Some we can say.
I think I know one of them we can't say that is probably also your favorite. It was like, no, these white folk never see an N-word on a horse.
Yeah. In the big house. He can sleep in the big house.
In the big house?
No, my two actually
candy.
I will say my favorite part of this was like this is, I think, and I really do believe this is probably the only Tarantino movie that you're watching that you can watch that even now I'm watching this and I'm like looking for until he pops up and he drops his infamous N-bombs again with an Australian accent this time, which is even funnier. But like the fact that he is you're watching this whole movie and you go like, it doesn't look like a Tarantino movie. It doesn't remind me of a Tarantino movie. There is no distinguishing factor until Tarantino shows up that this is a Tarantino movie. But like the fact that it becomes like it is some of the funniest lines in movies, like subtle fucking brilliant jokes. I don't know what the fuck it is. Gets me every time. And I think we talked about this in the when we were talking about this movie when he's at Candy's Mandingo fight, and like afterwards they're sitting there and he's like, "Let's get all a drink." And they all got drinks, and he's got his coconut drink, and he's got like his beer, and he's got his fucking drink, and he goes like to Mandingos or blah blah blah, and he goes Prost, and he goes German. Like he just
German.
German. He just respond. It was that one, and there was another one where it was like where when Django picks out, he goes, there's the two different times where he's like, where he picks out his outfit or whatever. They're riding around and he's walking around with the slave girl at Candy's thing, and she goes, "So you want me to treat him like a white man?" He goes, "No, I didn't say that."
That might be the funniest moment of the movie.
Brother,
well,
the
no,
comedy
she
in
goes,
this is,
she goes, so
you want I should treat him like a white man?
so you saying I should treat him like a white man? I
No.
did not say that.
No, he just goes, "No,
I did not say that.
I didn't say that." Who's that simple boy? Yeah, treat him like him. Like, and it was that, and then when she's walking him around, and she goes right after that, she goes like, "So you're his valet or whatever." She's like, "So wait, you ain't a slave?" He's like, "What do you think free man means?" And he's like, "So you don't have, why do you dress like that? You choose to dress like that?" Or whatever, when she's talking about his clothes or whatever, like legitimate, subtle, hilarious fucking jokes.
Dude, when they're taking out at the same time when they're on that plantation, they take out the two guys and the one guy's on the horse. And I forget what the word was, but he was like,
"Oh yeah, are you sure? Are you positive?"
Like,
and he goes,
he's like, "Are you positive? What's
he's
positive?"
Like, "I don't know." He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like,
"I don't know what positive means. Are you sure?" "Yeah."
He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, you're positive?" "Yeah." Boom. And like again, like the shots of it, like the literally when he goes up, he finds the two other brothers at that plantation, and he goes up and he just walks over after he whipped the other guy down, and he goes up, grabs his gun, and he goes, "Y'all want to see something?" And just turns around. There's like those just like legitimate,
some cool lines too, like where he goes,
Yeah.
"I like the way you die, boy."
Yeah, like it's a great, it is like, it makes me feel like I would like westerns if Tarantino directed more westerns, because I think the only two westerns that I like love, Tombstone was good. We watched Tombstone not too long ago. And like there's a couple other ones I'm sure, but like this is a truly original western. It doesn't seem crazy or silly. Like the violence is crazy, like hyper, like exploding blood, and like say goodbye. Everybody say goodnight to goodbye to Miss Rebecca or whatever. Like, what? Say goodnight to Miss Rebecca. Good night, Miss Rebecca. Bam!
Yeah.
And he just shoots her, and she just flies off, like off into the next room. Like, there's crazy, like comedic, violent parts, but also like it's a great revenge western type thing. Like it's like the same feel. Like he does such a good job of making a, what I would assume to be, and I haven't seen, again, I'm not huge on the genre, but like a truly original western movie that's like fucking crazy and just and funny and fucking crazy violent and crazy emotional, like fucking Christoph Waltz in this movie in particular. Like, and I truly do believe, and I didn't actually find this out or not, I don't know if you did, but the story that Christoph Waltz tells, I feel like it feels like it's the true inspiration for this movie.
Which story?
The Broomhilda and fuck, what's his name?
Oh, like the German
yeah, he's like, it's a fairy tale where she's surrounded by an inferno, she's on top of a mountain and all this other stuff, and protected by a dragon. Like, it's like all symbolism for like what they're literally doing. What their journey is.
I would imagine that's super intentional, the way Tarantino writes.
And it's also it's really cool. It's like it's a weird, it adds a European feel to instead of it being like a spaghetti western, which is, did you realize a spaghetti western is literally a western that's made in Italy? That's why they call them spaghetti westerns.
No, I didn't know that. That's very funny.
It's fucking crazy, right? So like, it's like a spaghetti western, but they're actually in like Montana, or they're in, you know what I mean? They're in like these beautiful snow in a western. He does it twice, and I fucking love it every time.
Well, the funny thing with like the German element, it's like a smart little thing.
German,
yes, German. Make her do the hand. No, it didn't.
It's a paw, Andy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Idiot.
No, she has hand and feet. 2 hands, 2 feet. Just like everyone else. No, it's like the little shit Tarantino does to just make it. That's what I've been learning more about. like writing and movie making, or just writing good stories, is having these like but also significant elements of that, just like it just stands out and makes it a little bit more different, a little bit more interesting. So like just by the sheer fact, it's like, oh, it's a Western. And one of the main characters, a German guy. And it's just, it just like on its face, like they make it make sense in the movie.
Yeah.
But on its face, it's just like, it's just a thing. It's just a minor little thing that makes it stand out. And then later in the movie, because I think Tarantino does this because just to like reinvigorate like a little bit of life into the movie, because like towards the end where Django gets captured and sold off to the Australian guys, I love this movie. I think it's amazing. It was starting to feel like it was going to drag on, but then something as little as just like, oh, these guys are Australian, and you're like, what? And it resets your brain in a weird way.
Yeah,
and he like does stuff like that. He does little shit like that like I remember in Pulp Fiction, there's like that one, he's done this once, I think, in all of his movies, where for no fucking reason in the middle of Pulp Fiction, when what's her name? Why am I spacing on her name?
Thurman?
Uma Thurman. Yeah. Remember she does this and the box just appears? He does
that once.
He's never done a thing like that ever again.
Square. And she, by the way, does a rectangle. Maybe he wanted to like prove a point to her, like, that's not a fucking square, idiot.
Yeah.
He's like, look at what your fingers did, stupid
bitch. just does it the point. No, he's obsessed with Uma Thurman. But no, it's like he's really good at just doing that little shit that just goes like, oh, this just feels different now. So that's what I love about. That's what I love about the German element, and it adds this almost sense of like anything could happen. It keeps you off your toes. It's very smart.
Yeah, and I think so. This is interesting. I don't think I realized the original. I guess the original Django was a spaghetti western. That makes a lot of sense because of all the European parts of it. Because like that's the I think just the in general like layout of this movie. That's probably why, if this is just a true just kind of like remake that he just like skewed a bit, then it would make sense that if there was like that's why it doesn't feel like a Tarantino movie, but it's still just as entertaining. It's like fucking. It's so like again. It's like aesthetic. This I'm saying like aesthetically on all aspects. I love the sound design in this movie. I love the fact that just the noise, like the actual like the sounds and the ASMR feel kind of like when they go into the first town and they bring the sheriff out and then they shoot the sheriff and he's like, okay, now you can bring out the or whatever what's after sheriff?
Deputy?
No, that's below, I guess. But when he remember
I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the. I think it's deputy.
No, deputy is the.
I don't know.
Whatever he says, like now you can bring the constable or whatever, like, and then he comes up, Marshall. Yeah, and he goes, okay, Marshall. He's like, I love the scenes, how like Christoph Waltz's character handles tense scenes in every aspect. Like when he goes over and he goes, what did you do? And he's like, who are those? Like like you were just talking about the scene where he's like kills the other two brothers and he's just like, who are they? And he's like, they're the blah 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 brothers. And he's like, where's the third one? He's like, it's him running away on the horse. And then he shoots him and then he's just like, wow, we did it. And then the guy comes over and he goes, let me do the talking. And then he throws the guns down. Django. And they just both throw their hands up. And then like
it's kind of
it's so clinical and like professional and like polite.
It feels very representative of almost like the experience you would go through in like being a black guy or just like a freed slave back in the day, where it is like when you're in your own spaces, you can be yourself and it's like, oh shit, white people. And then you got to like adjust. Yeah. It almost feels representative of that.
And I'm going to say this might be controversial. Best.
The N-word.
No, that's for Carmela to say at the end. Remember,
everyone
nobody can get mad at this.
I'll figure out a way.
Look at that belly jiggle. Ooh. I'm gonna get Hassan now. I feel like this is the greatest, and this is something that Tarantino's known for in general. But this is by far the greatest soundtrack. I think this is the greatest soundtrack, real time, and like the fact that like the mix of like we were joking about in Inglorious Bastards, the use of like a David Bowie song at one part, and then other parts it's
Yeah.
like it's like time accurate or whatever, and then he just plays this other song from this movie or this whatever.
Yeah.
This I feel like these songs were made for this movie. And again, maybe if this is a remake or whatever, maybe he felt like, okay, well, let me just have let me build a different soundtrack to it instead of just having my own references.
Well, it was kind of a thing. It was kind of a thing that was established in Inglorious Bastards that I was like initially making fun of, and then when I see the whole movie front to back, and then when I see Django, it's what made me watching these two movies back to back. It's what made me appreciate Tarantino's storytelling so much more. And I've heard this advice in stand-up comedy. They're like, don't let facts get in the way of a good joke.
Yeah.
There's an element to that with. Like, I mean, Tarantino's the best example. Like apparent. I looked into it because I've heard people talking about it. Apparently, like Mandingo fighting wasn't even like. There's no evidence that they did that.
Yeah.
And if you like think about it, you're like, oh yes, the strongest slave I have. I'm gonna make him fight to the death.
Yeah, I'm gonna have him poke the other guy's eyes out with his thumbs, and that'll be cool.
Exactly, and it's like but contextually to the story he wants to tell. You're like, it makes sense. So you're like, yeah, throw it in there.
Yeah.
Because it's like he's not there. Now, like I think I joked about this before. You could say he's making, he's making low-grade propaganda to a degree. I don't think that. I think he's just trying to. I think his like movies are sort of set like these two movies, especially because they have a very similar vibe.
Yeah.
Like how I was like, Inglorious Bastards feel like, hey Jews, all that bad stuff happened. Wouldn't this be cool to see? And Django has a similar vibe of like, hey black people, all that bad stuff happened. Wouldn't this be fucking cool to watch?
You love this?
Wouldn't this be the coolest fucking thing to watch? And I think it's like, I think that is a big element of what these movies are for and what they're trying to do. So it is a thing of like, back to what I was saying before, don't let facts get in the way of a good story. Tell the fucking story and then we'll fucking talk about it later. But going back, but correlating the music thing into all that, that's why it's like in the one part when all the one of the parts that they're like walking through the field and he's just playing Rick Ross. You're like, I didn't know
Black Coffins.
Exactly. You're like,
Black Coffins.
you could get mad because it's like, oh, that music isn't of the time, but it's doing a very good direct job establishing the general emotions and feelings that he wants. And that's what matters more than like having too much historical accuracy and shit like that.
I would love to know what 100 black coffins for 100 dead men. I just like the fact that like there's again the comedic element, but there's also the revenge feel of like almost like a blaxploitation type movie, like of a revenge film or like something like that, where it's not pyramid or period accurate or whatever, but it's like it's still one of those things where
Pat's watching Ancient Aliens. You're like, it's a pyramid piece.
It's a pyramid. It's aliens. No, don't bite that. But there's like almost like there's like a level of
bro. Don't jiggle the belly if you don't want to deal with the fucking menace.
But there's I activated her. I shook her up.
You did. Yeah, dude, you shook her up.
But there's like a level of things where you're like, I don't know, man. It just worked. Like you said, I don't think there's like a level of the historical accuracy of like these are some methods of like this is what people did, and then there's also exaggerations and there's other parts where you're like, well, they're the villain, so they have to do like maybe they didn't actually castrate the dudes and have those weird face things on, or maybe they did. They hung them upside down like fucking Ed Gein or whatever. But like it's still like thing of like, or maybe they did. It doesn't matter. They still fucking bought and sold people.
Yeah.
That's the thing where like he had to fight for his freedom, even though he was free. They were still like, "What are you doing riding a horse? It's crazy."
That was
what's going on here.
I will say this. I was reading something about the slave trade back in the day, and the ones that got sent to like the Middle East area, they almost regularly got castrated. So Eesh. I could yeah. It was dude, can I go on record? Not a fan.
I gotta tell you, I also do not support it.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
I'm pretty much totally against it.
You know, I gotta be honest. Not a lot of podcasts publicly state that they're anti-slavery and anti-castrating slaves. So I just think it's weird. We're the first. So I'm now suspect of every other podcast's opinion.
If you haven't made it clear, we can only assume the worst. So we would like to make it clear that we do not agree with it mostly.
Well, it's 2025 and everyone's autistic, so I'm safe to assume if you didn't say it directly, then you feel the opposite.
If you didn't say the opposite, then obviously.
That'd be so funny. We just make up 50 different pledges where it's like you have to sign this pledge to say you don't like slavery, and if you don't, we're just gonna assume you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much good shit. This is why I want to watch. This is why I literally want to watch every Tarantino now, because like,
well,
right now,
the season.
It's Tarantober, and honestly, I don't know how you feel. It might be Taranvember, depending on. It might be my own personal Quentin Taranvember as well.
Are you talking about Quinn Nover?
Quentin Nover? What did I say?
Quinn Nover Tarantino?
Oh, I was Quinn No. Oh, you're putting no at the beginning. I was ending it with
Quinn November. Oh yeah, you're
Quentin
right.
Taranvember.
Quinn.
You want to see my member?
Pound off in the chat.
Pound off in the chat. You got to figure.
If you want to keep watching Tarantino movies, pound off in the goddamn chat.
Pound off in the fucking chat. But after watching it, and this is just because it's the freshest one in my head, I was like, this feels like my favorite Tarantino right now, because it just like, I'm a big fan of Hateful Eight. I like the slow drawl of it and shit, and how it feels like a little play and shit like that. How it's very isolated in its own little bubble, but just on pure like fuck yeah, like Django's the best one. But it's so exciting.
But like again, like I said, like everything is at 100%. So like the tension of like when at the end when like I love how fucking dumb Candy is. Do you know what I mean? Like how evil and dumb he is.
Yeah.
It's so crazy like that he is so like success because of his pure like inhumanity, and like he's turned like he's one of the people he is one of the people in the Civil War that would be fighting to keep his slave. Like legitimately to be like, no. This is how things work around here. Like it's a hierarchy, and he with that superiority, instead of actually educating him on all the things he's interested in. Like when I love it when he's walking up to when they first arrive at Candy's house, Candyland. Sorry, actually no, they weren't at Candyland. They were at a fight somewhere else in Louisiana or whatever because they traveled. But like when they met him there, and they were like, and he's like, "Oh, enchanté, blah blah blah," and then it's like, "Don't speak French to him. He can't speak French. He'll just get angry." And you're like one of those things of like he's a dumb, angry animal. But he feels so superior because he thinks what he deals in is dumb, angry animals.
Yeah.
And it's such like that like character arc of this thing of like, it's just insecurity. It's him being a fucking like creepy weirdo that just holds this power over people. When legitimately, if you do have the biggest, strongest fellas, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
fellas,
what's to say that they don't just fucking and the fact that he names them these like clever names and all this stuff, but he doesn't even know the reference. Like when he's like, "Oh yeah, your friend D'Artagnan that you stick the dogs on," he's like, "You know, D'Artagnan was black, right?"
Yeah, you know what's
you
funny?
fucking idiot.
When he was talking about that, he's like saying he's from
The Three Musketeers,
Three
author.
Musketeers.
Yeah.
I didn't even, dude, because I'm telling you, I'm going through a whole new experience of actually like being an adult and getting in the substance of these movies. Because it's like I didn't even pick up on that like it wasn't even until this viewing that I was like, oh yeah, he is dumb. You
Yeah.
know, like I missed a lot of that shit the first couple times I saw it.
And you go from such a it was this, then it was these were back to back, right? Django and Inglorious Bastards
Yeah.
were back to back. So you go from such an evil, brilliant, cunning mastermind villain in like Christoph Waltz, and then you go to this fucking like just evil, dumb, like just pure. He doesn't give a shit. He just needs to get over on you. And like when he's been outsmarted, he still doesn't want to lose. So that's when his violent side gets out. So like if you know what I mean? Like it's just like him being on a hair trigger. It's almost like it's level to like the tension you would feel in like Breaking Bad with like Tuco or something like that, or when they're like dealing with
that was the funny thing I realized watching this, where it was like, because I was watching it being like, what's the big deal? Like, why are they getting so mad? Like, because I'm like, it gets to a certain point where I'm like, wait a minute. Like, if he found out that they're not actually trying to buy the Mandingo, but they're trying to buy Broomhilda.
right.
And I understand getting mad, but I was like, I'm watching this now, just like, why does it end in such craziness? Because it's like, in actuality, to like preserve him and his family's safety, logically he'd come out and he'd be like, you guys aren't trying to find buy the Mandingo. You're just, and it'd be like, oh, is that your wife? Do you just want, like, why didn't you just do that? You know what? I'm kind of mad. So we're going to do the 12 grand for, and like do it that way. Like, I'm watching this, like, why is this such a big deal for him? Because it is a thing. I'm like watching this, like, why couldn't you just go? Like, what does he care about Broomhilda or whatever her name was? Or Hildy, I mean, why would you, like, why can't you just go to him and go like, hey, this is, I have this guy. He's a freed slave. That's his wife. We'd like to buy his wife. But it is the element of like who this guy is and like how you have to trick him to get to that.
Well, he explained, like in the scene right before that, he explains a little bit like, look, here's the scenario. I understand what you're saying, but we have like one opportunity. And our opportunity is like we can go up and we can say, and he gives an example of like we go up to a farmer and we say, hey, I really like your horse, or like, hey, that used to be my friend's horse and I'd love to buy it from you, whatever. The farmer has full right and responsibility, can just say it and just end of conversation. No, don't want to, goodbye. So he's like, but if you go up and you give the offer of, at least you open up with the offer of, hey, I'd like to buy the whole farm, you know, what about that? So he's just saying, like, monetarily, it's not worth his time or effort to like say like, okay, like you're right, like he should just say, but like him being such a dumb animal, he's unpredictable. He may just go like, I don't really like you. I don't feel like doing it. So like they have to at least convince him that he is somebody who, like, they just have to say like, hey, I can get you this much money. I can guarantee you this much money. So you're right. He's very upset at the end, but like he's saying like, all right, you're offering me this much money for her, but it turns out you were lying about the $12,000 in general. You're going to pay me that $12,000. You can have her, but that's going to be $12,000. And like, then he was like, then the fact that he wanted to rub it in even after the fact, was the fact that was pushing him over the line, because it's a thing where he's just like, what's his face? Schultz, Christoph Waltz's character knows is Dr. Schultz. He knows that he's smarter than him. He knows that he's more cultured than him. And he knows that everything that he's pretending to be, he actually is. Like, he is actual gentleman. He's being very cordial. He's being everything. But because he got one over on him, and he can't lose. And once he loses, he threatens them with violence. It's like, because he doesn't feel like he can further negotiate to say like, wait a minute, you said 12,000. I need to blah, blah, blah. You know, he just says, fuck you. You've lied to me in my own place, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, then that's when the the Savage comes out, and that's when he starts to threaten her to get the 12,000 out of him, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's just fucked up where you're because I thought that same thing of like, wait, he's not like threatening his life, but he just duped him essentially. He came in his
Well,
house
that's when
as
he's
a guest,
done
and
talking.
he duped
Yeah. Yeah, when he's done talking to Sam Jackson's character, Jeffrey, what was it? Whatever his name was.
Steven.
Steven, that's right.
Yeah.
When he was done talking to Steven, it's like he'd be justified coming out being like, why are you boys wasting my time? If you just wanted Hildy, you should have said that, blah, blah, blah. Like, well, it's like it doesn't, but it has to turn into this whole fucking thing where he's like, no, they disrespected me. I have to like beat the ever living shit out of them and stuff.
Yeah, well, I'll at least scare the ever living shit out of them to say like, if you want to keep fucking me over, then I'm gonna crush your skulls.
Yeah.
So like it's definitely an over exaggeration.
Well,
but it's also like
I will say there is probably an element too where you're like, these guys came onto my farm under false pretenses, so I want to put the fear of God in them. But there is still a thing of like at the very end, he basically he doesn't want to just, it's like he did all the thing, they paid for it, they paid the 12 grand for her and all that kind of shit, but he still at the very end wants to bitch them up.
Yeah.
And that's really like what it is for him at the end of the day. One thing about, so watching these ones back to back, Inglourious Bastards and then Django, or DJANGO, however you say it. Watching them back to back, it did make me realize, one, I think Tarantino he was in a move those 2 years, or not 2 years, but for those two movies. Because they do, like I said before, they do have like a same general flow.
A what if vibe, kind of like the comedy is
over the top.
Yeah. But it's
tongue
also
in cheek, comedic. Yeah.
Very rarely are you taken out of this world. Like in his other movies where they're like, what if you're in the pawn shop? And then all of a sudden, nope, now you're over here. Now you're in a French lady's bed.
Right.
And the guy was just boxing. He was just over here. Like,
you're right. These ones are much more linear than the other ones.
Here's the story of the Civil War, or here's the story of slavery in the South and whatever, in Texas, blah blah blah. And here's a story of Germany, blah blah blah. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood after that. Like, so like each one of them is like this thing where like it's a lot more based in this world, even though they do jump more in Once Upon a Time.
Because like a couple Tarantinos are way more like, here's a bunch of shit happening, and then at the end you realize why that was happening. These ones are substantially more linear. And the thing I noticed is all the the one problem I had with, which I loved Inglourious Bastards, but the one problem I had where they would have these long roundabout scenes, and it would be like the mental games. They were like dueling mental chess and da. But the whole time you're like, I know how this is gonna end. Like the scene in the bar, you like, I know they're gonna get fucked up, and it felt exhausting. At time, not exhausting, that's dramatic, but you know what I mean. In this one, whenever they were doing like the mental jousting scenes, it all felt like, even like now when I know I've seen the movie like 5 to 10 times, I know how it's going to end.
Yeah.
It still felt like, oh, it's not definite where this scene is going to go. It's not definite how this is going to end. It could, when you think one person's going to sort of win the verbal joust, it could go the other way. And I thought that was executed in a substantially better way in this movie.
Yeah. I think that where like, there didn't feel like there was any fat on this movie.
Yes.
Whereas in like Inglourious Bastards, so it's like, except for, you know what, there was, there was one scene where, no, you know what it was? You think it's a cutaway scene, but it has so much more power behind it. It was at the end of the Mandingo scene when he goes, what's your name? And he goes, Django. He's like, can you spell it? and then he can spell his name. You're like, what the hell is that for? What's that for? It's because he just lost a Mandingo. He was like, what about you? Like, and he goes, too smart. And like legitimately just walks away. And
Oh,
you're like, oh, damn. He was like sizing him up to like say, like, you want to work for me? I can, like, I'm sure you're better than him, right? Old no eyes
yeah.
over there.
That's
Like,
interesting. I didn't
like
even
at
notice
first
that.
I was like, that seems like such a stupid throwaway scene. It completely innocuous, doesn't mean anything. But everything else up into that, where he's teaching him how to like shoot better. He's got a natural ability, but he's like teaching him how to like to his reflexes,
Well,
working on his
it's
reflexes. He's like there's montages, there's fucking the
well,
thing where
it's
he's like bounty hunting, he gets a job and just starts working like legitimately like until they pointed out at the end where he's like, wow, bounty hunter going around killing white people, you must love that.
yeah.
And
Well,
they're just like, yeah, it's pretty good work, you know.
the scene you're talking about where he's like he just loses the Mandingo fight and then sizes up Django, which I didn't even notice till right now, and I'm sure a lot of other people didn't notice. That to me comes off as Tarantino being much more tuned in on the the world that he's creating
Yeah,
versus like, oh, who's the main character and where's he going with things. Because if you think about it, like, that's not crucial to the story in any way, but
yeah,
it is how that guy would have reacted if he had just lost a Mandingo fight. That is
yeah.
a logical way that guy would have reacted. So
And,
that is being more aware of the world that you're creating versus the specific characters and what they're supposed to be doing in the scene.
yeah, so like those are things where you're just like, wow, the depth that he is building this world, where it feels like it could even be in the same world as Hateful Eight. You know what I mean? Like it feels like it could be that same world, except for the fact that Sam Jackson would be two different characters.
Yeah.
But the whole thing where you're just like you're just in this you're building to this thing, this like huge journey that they're going to go on, and it just I don't know, it's just so it doesn't go the way they planned, but they at least get in there to the point where they're like, well, we got here for what we got what we wanted. We did, you know, that's all that really matters. You know, the fact that he gets to be part of a real life, you know, fairy tale is like he actually serves his purpose because he's a good person. He's somebody who's going out. He's not like in the world of the wild wild west. You know what I mean? Like he's not like a cutthroat, you know, guy, and he's also not an innocent. So like the fact he's borderline superhero in this case, and like it's a really cool. It almost feels like that, like feel like it's like a heroic journey.
Well, they are making him like over the top superhero where like the last scene where he's like shooting all the guys and it's
Yeah,
like like his pinpoint accuracy is ridiculous to a point. But
yeah.
it's like that's what's fun.
I count 6 bullets, fella.
Dude, I got to be
I
honest.
count 2 guns, fella.
I gotta be honest. The more, oh yeah, that part was I count 2 guns. But dude, it's like I gotta be honest. It's the more I'm watching this shit, and the more we're getting into these movies, I'm like the whole somewhat like the whole idea of going like that wouldn't happen that way.
Yeah,
I'm almost like, who gives a shit?
yeah,
Because I go like, real life is boring and sucks ass. I
yeah.
don't want it to happen how it really would.
By the way, some of this stuff, like we said, like about like hanging him upside down, castrating them, all this other shit. Some of that stuff was real life. So like we don't need all real life. Some of the real life stuff was just very depressing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was weird.
I forget when they were hanging him upside down. Were they showing his dong?
I don't. Obviously, I don't think it was his dong, but I think it was. Yes, I think it was dong.
Yeah, that was very funny because it was quick cuts and I was like, are they showing dong?
Yeah.
And I think that it's I'm sure oh my god, I'm spacing on his name, Django.
Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx, I'm sure it was like, thank you, Quentin, for he's like he's like, that's what makes me okay with you saying the N-word so many times. You gave me that big ass penis, Quentin.
Also, he got to showcase his horse riding skills. He's actually like he has like a ranch and it has like multiple. He's like a professional horse rider. Jamie Foxx is. He's
Really?
He's like an equestrian type dude. Like he's got a ranch and shit. So like,
You know what I like about Jamie Foxx too? Remember, like, for a year he was kind of fucked up and he just went away.
Yeah.
I have like not saying like good, go away, I don't want to see you. But this whole thing where you're like, yeah, I'm a little fucked up now. I forget what the fuck it was, but he's like, I'm a little fucked up now. I'm gonna go away and not make it a whole fucking thing. But then you have like Demi Moore being like, here's Bruce Willis, still a fucking vegetable.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So I was reading in the comments. Apparently, Django was a spaghetti western that was written by two Japanese dudes. It was originally, or it was a samurai western called Yo Jimbo.
I love that.
But so that's really interesting. The fact that that's why it doesn't feel like a traditional Tarantino movie, but like the touches that he put in on it, and the way he shot it is just phenomenal. I love the snow in the outside, like with so many of the scenes, like it like legitimately that makes a huge difference for me. So I don't know which one you wanted to do next.
They do a really good job here. We still got let's vibe out for a minute because we still
Okay.
got a couple. Are you pressed for time?
A little bit. Well, I got somebody coming here to meet me. Jake's coming here to meet for his keys, so I might have to dip out, and I got probably like 10 minutes.
Okay, that's perfect then.
Yeah.
No, because what the fuck was I gonna say? No, you're saying about like the snow and stuff, which I love that element, by the way. Just a little like juxtaposition, like, oh, it's a Western, you know, you're used to everything being hot. Well, it's snow.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's like a good visual element. But even then, like they were very smart with all the scenes on the plantations and stuff, because they made it look like, oh, this is uncomfortable to be here. Even if you're not the slaves, it's still like a bad time and very uncomfortable to be here.
Also, just learning like even the hierarchy, like some of the best acting in the movie is that one slave extra that is walking with them from where they meet Candy to going to Candyland, and then he also gets taken by the Australian mining company or whatever. There was that one slave that like at first when like he sees Django, he's introduced to him as a black slaver. So he's just like,
yeah, there was a bunch.
And then later on, when like after they kill the Australian guys and he's riding back to the plantation to go kill the rest of them, he's like,
oh, is that the same guy? That makes so much sense now, because that scene. See, that's what's great about film too, is like you can have these moments where nothing's said, but there's a slight shift in just their facial expression.
Yeah.
And it just tells a whole lot, because even in that scene at the end where he smiles, it's not even a big smile, but it is a moment of like,
see it in his eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a moment of like, well, shit, something good might happen in this fucked up world.
Yeah. Like not only are like, I guess we're good to go, we'll head out, but also nice. I'm glad he's going back there to kill the rest of the white people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And that one black guy that he was just so mean to us.
He's just such a fucking jerk.
Yeah, that hierarchy of like black slaver is the worst. Then like right under him is the house fella, and then right under him is the, you know what I mean. Like so, like they're like, so the fact that Samuel L. Jackson and Django are bickering back and forth, and he's just like, what is he doing on that horse? Get him off of that fucking horse. And also, wait, he's going in the big house? What is going on here? And he's just like, can you just make him a room? And he's like, for him, the guy on the nag, he said, he calls him the fella on the nag. And you're like, yeah. And he's like, that one. And he just keeps pointing at him like he's not there. That's my favorite part. He's just like, him, that guy. And he's like, you can talk to me. If you want to know my horse's name or my name, you can ask me. And like the fact that they're back and forth is like, it's so genuine feeling of like, you know, when Schultz is explaining to Django, like, okay, then that's the character. He's like, there's nothing worse than a black slaver. And he's like, okay, then give me your best version of that. Like you play into that. So now you're bringing wrestling into it. Now,
yeah.
You
know what I love too about Samuel Jackson's character is, again, going into like Tarantino's not overly obsessed with historical accuracy.
Yeah.
I got to imagine when they were on set, Samuel Jackson's like, so how do you want me to play this? And he's like, just do you. Just like, because that's not.
Yeah, he's probably the same thing. Like, however you would play, how would you
Yeah, it doesn't feel.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't. It like when you Samuel Jackson's character doesn't feel like a guy from that time period. It's just, he has major like Sam Jackson energy, but I think that is again, I think it's like a smart element that just like throw in something that feels a little out of place every so often to just keep people engaged. But yeah, man, I'm really excited to get through the rest of these Tarantino movies. Obviously, we don't have to do every single one, but I probably will.
Yeah, why not?
I probably will on my own regardless if we don't. But right now, this is like I forgot how much I fucking like this movie.
Yeah,
it absolutely rips.
This one is like a lot of. It's just like a really crazy, fun, weird, interesting movie. So what I don't know what one. Which way do you want to go? Do you want to go back further back, or do you want to go to the most recent? Because we're kind of going in order.
Honestly,
I guess we got to do Jackie Brown. Everybody keeps talking about fucking Jackie Brown, and it's just like I got to tell you, I feel like I watched it in recent history, and I was pretty underwhelmed. I'm okay doing Jackie Brown if you want to do it.
I'm not. No, I mean, I'm not chomping at the bit to do Jackie Brown. My whole point was, it's a great movie. Because it was just you were saying you're like I think it's a bad movie, and I go no, I still think it's a good movie, but if we're making a list, I'm putting it. If we're making a list of best Tarantinos, I'm putting it at the bottom. Yeah. So I'm not sitting here. I mean, I guess technically Death Proof. I would definitely watch Jackie Brown before Death Proof, but regardless, cause actually, yeah, the only ones right now. Well, there's three, I guess. Well, no, I eventually want to do Grindhouse. Because I think that could be like a bonus after Tarantober. Because I think on one of the like Tubi apps they have. I gotta. You know what? Let me double check it. Let me double check that it's actually present. Because if it's not presented in the right way, I don't want to watch it. Yeah. But like on one of the fucking like Tubi type apps, it literally just says Grindhouse, and I go no fucking way. And I'm like, I gotta check it out to see if they have everything. But I'll let you pick one or the other because we can just do the other one next week, or I'm sorry, the week after. Because the only ones I'm super like obsessed about are Pulp Fiction or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I would like to get to both of those. So I don't care. You pick one of those two if you're cool with that.
I guess we'll go. We'll go Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because then we'll work backwards.
Yeah, we'll go to the end and go to the front.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll do that.
Sorry, did I just say the front?
To the front of the movies.
You want to go? Let's go to the front of his catalog.
We'll go to the front of his career at the very front of it. So like that way we'll know. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that way because like the classic ones, New Day or current day Tarantino is fucking sick. So
yeah.
So I think they're like I think we should just finish enjoying that and then go back and enjoy the classics.
Yeah,
then we'll hit up the Jackie Browns and whatnot.
Yeah, I think that'll be good because we got mid-range Tarantino, and now we'll hit the newest Tarantino, and then we can go back to well, technically Reservoir Dogs is the first one. I forgot about that because it's not. But yeah, we can. Whatever. We'll do them all.
Yeah, we'll go to quote Quentin
Taranvember. Taranvember. All right. There we go. We'll see you guys next week. Be about it. Peace.